John O'Brien out here with Briggs Outfitting, and we're standing in a Grains of Greens plot that was planted one of the last couple days in July. We're out here, we're September 6th. Here's what you see behind you, a tremendous amount of growth. I'm wearing a hat of Plot Scout today. So the buckwheat's blossoming out. It typically blossoms out around 42 to 56 days, depending on temperature, heat, weather, things like that. We got our Giro Brassica with the big petal leaves that you can see before us. We have the kales out here. This blend's also got some turnips and radish along with the winter grains, and there is some peas here. A lot of attraction as we're standing out here. There's a lot of deer manure all over the place. And as I walked in here, my eyes were thinking ahead to 2025. We have some pigweed out here. We have some foxtail out here. The amount of weeds is pretty low, but we'll have to talk a little bit about like how we're going to control these weeds, knowing what the predominant weeds are, and how we're going to rotate this plot. And I already got a few ideas which we'll be discussing. There's a new product that will be coming out, which I visualize we'll want to plant here in the spring, and will help clean this up a little bit better for the fall. Why don't you talk a little bit about this plot and what you foresee with it?
Yeah, so basically what I started doing with this plot, I disked it in June and then let it sit for a couple weeks and let the weeds kind of take over. And then I sprayed it, and then, you know, everybody knows that this year we had a lot of rain. So the moisture of all that, kind of the spray didn't really do much, and then the weeds just kind of took over again. So I restarted that whole cycle, and then I disked, then sprayed, and then I got this seeded right towards the end of July. So, but this plot's had great growth throughout the whole year. Not too many weeds like John said, but there is some of that, you know, foxtail and this other stuff that's in here.
And the one thing I like with viewing this is you can see it's got screening on both sides. We got a bunch of corn that the cameraman won't have to show that, but we kind of got like a little honey hole. It is a little bit larger than a honey hole. It's a pretty good sized plot, but again, how it's set up with the screening on the end, on the sides, you know, we're really reducing glassing. And again, there's a stand about 40, 50 yards, you know, beyond us, and it's kind of a natural funnel here, and it's a limestone ridge, clay soil. Stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to be sharing content when you're out hunting and as things progress through the fall. But I would say from scouting it, tremendous yield for this time of year. And what I would predict if there, you know, is this Giro Brassica has the potential to get to be 4 to 5 feet tall if the deer ever allow it to get that tall out here.
Plot pretty heavily. You can see off towards the end of it, you know, you see these, the white flowers are in here. The buckwheat down there isn't one. They've snipped it all off. So, but now my thought process on doing the screening on both sides is we got a lot of basswood tree, oak trees, all great lick lines for deer in their natural habitat. With the sorghum and Egyptian wheat screening, my thought was, you know, those bigger deer will walk along those edges with the timber and the sorghum on each side, and they kind of will ignore the deer stand, and then they'll come right here within bow range, and we'll get a chance at harvesting a nice buck. So.
Yeah, it's a great little plan. And again, I always talk to people about, most people think about planning for the now, but also you want to think about next year, and that's a little bit about this scouting, what we've talked about. I already know what I want him to plant next year. This will be a fall draw plot. And again, you can plant brassicas year after year with doing a rotation, but also part of this equation that I maybe should bring up is he actually is on all liquid program. So he's actually put my 1149 product down here. So part of the reason we have lower amounts of insect pressures and why we have really good overall plant health is we use my all liquid program this year, which I think was your first year of doing that.
Yep. So. Yeah, and that all liquid program, man, it works great. You know, you come out here and you get these plots sprayed. I actually had it. I wish I would have had the camera guy with me, or just whip my phone out while I'm spraying. The deer are running out following me. It's the most bizarre thing you'll see. The minerals that are in there, it tracks them, it gets them in those food plots right away. I've got customers even calling me the day after they use it. Their trail cams are going crazy, and then you know, after a good rain, the plot turns dark green and it looks beautiful. So that liquid program, I'm sold on it.